All right. Good evening. If you can hear me, we'll be starting in the next 3 minutes. All right, fine. So we're going to be starting in the next 3 minutes. I need to invite one or two guests. Yeah. So if you're just joining, kindly drop in the comment section your name and what part of the world you're joining us from. Today, we're going to be talking about what are the available channels for you to fund your business. Let me put this off. All right, fine. So, we're going to talk about the available channels for you to fund your business. And like I said, we're going to be starting in the next 3 minutes. So, um, let me just invite one or two persons, then we can get started. All right, so if you're just joining, kindly drop your name and what location from the world you're joining us from. Okay, okay. All right, your name and what location of the world you're joining us from. Okay, all right. We'll be starting in the next 3 minutes. Need to invite a lot of persons. Yeah. All right. We're almost ready to get started. I'm excited about today's class. We're going to talk about funding. We're talking about funding. So last week we talked more about making yourself fundable. What are some things you need to do? But today we're going to talk about what are the available channels for you to raise funds for your business. And yeah, you will get good value from this. So if you just joining, maybe after the live, just you may just need to skip forward to like 10 minutes, then the class officially gets started. Then so right now I'm inviting a lot of folks and getting people to join in so that we can get started. So, yeah. MSME. Um, EDC. All right, two last invites, and we are up. I'll see. All right, so we're up. So let's get started. So good evening. If you're just joining, you're welcome to the Growth Room. So the Growth Room is a weekly webinar I hold every Thursday within the hours of 7 to 8 p.m. GMT plus one. And in the growth room, I share with people on how to start, grow, and scale their business. The whole idea about the growth room is that you will come for the growth room, and at the end of the growth room, you would have gotten an insight on how to either start a new business, start a profitable business, grow your business to become more profitable, and of course, get to scale your business. Now, I hold this every other time, and in the month of September, we were talking about funding. Now, funding is very important because as a business person, if you want to start a business, you don't necessarily need funding. I think we talked about this in the first class. So you don't necessarily need money to start a business. But if you need to grow your business, you will need money, and you will need a lot of money to grow your business. Maybe not as plenty big money, but you will definitely need money and cash to grow your business. And after being said that, you would need funding to do that. And not every other time you may really have that funding available to you. So you need to learn how to raise that funding. So the first class we talked about starting a business, what are the available options that you can use for funding. So I shared on different areas. So you could check the comment section on this video after the live would have ended, and you would basically get the link to that. And in the second section, we're talking about making yourself fundable. So what are some things you need to put in place to make yourself fundable? And I'm going to share more about that in the growth room radio live I'm going to be holding next week. That would be next week. Come, let me check the date. Tuesday next week should be 23rd. Yes, um 23rd of September. Pardon me, 23rd of September. I'll be holding that between the hours of 11:30 to 12 noon on the mainland FM 98.3. If you're in Lagos, I would love for you to join that and, of course, ask questions. So, for today's segment, we're going to be talking about what are the channels of funding that is available to you. So, you're a small business owner or you're a startup and you're looking at growing your business. Now, you need funding to do that. You don't really necessarily have all the funds, or you're just thinking about, I want to grow my business and I need money. So what are the channels available to you? What are the options available to you for raising funding as a startup and as a small business? Funding basically means just injecting capital into your business to be able to grow your capital base and actually get to grow. So I'm going to be sharing that. Now, if you're just joining, thank you very much. My name is Mark Onoja. I'm a business development service provider. I work with startup and small businesses, and I've been working with startup and small businesses for over a decade. And I've helped them basically grow their business in the area of starting, growing, and scaling their business. So thank you for joining. You can share this with your friend. And in the comment section, kindly drop your name and where you are joining us from. It does help me know about our community that we're trying to build around the world. So let's get started. So what are the channels available to you as a startup and a small business owner? What are channels available to you to grow your business? Right? So for the funding of your business and for the growth of your business, what are the channels available to you? So I'm going to be sharing like 5 different channels today. I will do a little bit of a breakdown for each of the channels. Thank you, Latifa from Lagos. Yeah, Tifat. Yeah. Thank you for joining. Do share this with a friend. All right. So what are the channels that is available to you? So let's get started. So if you want to fund your business, these are the channels that are available to you. The first primary channel that is available to you is called self-funding. It's self-funding. So the first way you can fund your business, or the first channel that is available to you that I prefer, right, that to me is the best one to go for, is called self-funding. Self-funding means that you, as the entrepreneur, thank you for joining Mr. Tejo Show. Thank you for joining Mr. Emmanuel Olusegun from Epe, Lagos. Thank you for joining, guys. So the first way you get funding, the first access to funding to grow your business, and of course, is you do self-funding. So self-funding talks about you, the entrepreneur, generating the cash and generating the capital that you need to grow your business. Now, there's a limitation to it and there's the advantage to it. So we're just going to talk about the limitation and the advantage and tell you how to basically do it. So what is basically the limitation? Let's start with that. So the limitation to it is that the funding you can raise is limited to your capacity. So take, for example, your capacity as an individual is that you can only raise $1 million. If you can still see me, just type in the comment section. because it's showing that my network is a little bit so I know I'm not just speaking to myself. Okay, fine. I think the network is back. All right, fine. So like I was saying, the first one is through self-funding, and it has a limitation. The limitation is based on the capacity of the entrepreneur. So if your capacity is not beyond, so if you take for example, you need to raise like 5 million naira to grow your business. You need funding of 5 million naira injected into your business. If your capacity as an entrepreneur is just a million naira that you can raise, or is a million naira you can get per time, maybe per annum. Yeah, thank you, Latifat. You cannot do beyond that. So self-funding is good. We'll talk about the good part, but the ills of it is that there is a cap on your capacity. There's a cap on the capacity that you can generate. That's one. Number two, the time period for raising that type of funds sometimes can be long, especially when there is no capital base and you have to go and start getting those funds. It can take a while for you to raise that capital for your business. Now, let's look at the good part. Now, the good part is that you will get to grow as a business. So recently, I was looking at getting an asset, right, for the startup place, and it was going to cost me like a few millions, right? And it just came to my mind that I shouldn't take a loan. I was going to raise the money to do that. And of course, I just started looking at savings. I started looking at savings. I started putting pressure on myself to basically get that capital. And I've been able to raise the money. Now, but you see, once you use that format to raise the capital, you will never go back. So take, for example, if your entire capacity as an entrepreneur is that you can only raise a million naira, and you just discover that your business needs some equipment, you need to do some one or two things in your business that is going to cost you 3 million naira. If you decide to say, okay, I'm not going to take a loan from anyone, I'm not going to ask anybody for help, I'll give myself 1 year to raise that 3 million. There's something that has happened to you. It means that your capacity has grown from a million naira to 3 million naira. It means you won't return back to it. I'm not with a rubber band here, but when I was in school, my leader in school, Dr. Femi John, he always gives this analogy to us that a rubber stretched can never return back to its former shape. So I like the self-funding because it stretches you as an entrepreneur so that you would grow. So sometimes when some people come to meet me, I'm a small business owner, I need capital. And most times I tell them, raise the capital by yourself. The idea is not the money, it's the person you will become by raising that capital, right? It is slow, there's a cap to it, but if you are diligent to raise it, you would grow as a business person, right? So that's what I basically suggest. So that is the use and that's the advantage. So how do you basically raise capital as a business person? Internally, self-funding. So there are three ways you do that. The first one is that you save, right? Savings. So you set aside a part of your profits and keep it aside and say, this part of my profit that's kept aside, I am going to keep it to use for my funding, to fund my business. So you keep a part of your profits. Some people suggest 3%, 5%, 10%, 20%, whatever percent you are comfortable living from every sales that come in, you can take a percent. So if say your product that you say is 10K per product, you can say from every product I say, I keep 1,000 naira aside. If you sell 20 products in a month, that is 20,000 naira. If you sell 30 products in a month, that's 30,000 naira. But accumulate or accumulate 30,000 naira within an entire year, you will have like 360,000 naira. Now, 360,000 naira sounds small to a lot of persons, but is the diligent in doing that 360,000 naira, at least it will solve some problems for you in your business. You won't be thinking too much of some capital. So the first way of doing internal funding to raise funding internally is that you should save. Now, the second way is that you should cut costs. So the second way for doing that is that you should cut costs. So one of the things you need to do as a business person every other month is that you should look at your business and ask yourself, how do we reduce costs? How do we ensure that our outflow is reduced and our inflow is increasing? Right? So we're going to talk about inflow, but let us talk about outflow. If you reduce costs, you will raise capital. And that is just the long and short of the story. If you can reduce costs, you will raise capital. So let's talk a bit about Nigeria. I mean, I'm from Lagos, Nigeria. I'm in Lagos, Nigeria. Now, one of the things that happen when it comes to Africa, it's not a Nigeria thing, it's an Africa thing. And we see a lot of African leaders going to like Paris Club, going to IMF, going to the World Bank to go and ask for funding and stuff like that. Now, if this government can cut costs, reduce excessive spending and exorbitant type of living that the politicians basically live, we will have too much money within our system and within the country. But of course, they will not do that. So let us leave the two for know that this is a political class, right? So this is a class for startup and small businesses. So reducing costs enables you to grow your funding, to grow your capital base, and to fund your business. So the first way I said is that you should save, not just save as in save yourself from failing, right? As in keep capital aside, keep from your profit aside. For every profit that comes in, keep it aside. If you're just joining, thank you for joining. In the comment section, I need you to put your name and where you're joining us for. So you're welcome to the growth room. I share with you on how to start, grow, and scale your business. And today we are talking about channels for raising funding, for accessing funding as a business owner, right? So back to what I was saying, internal funding, self-funding. The first thing is that you need to save. The second one is that you need to cut costs. And the third one is that you need to increase your inflow, quote and unquote. You need to increase your profitability, or you need to increase your revenue, or you need to increase your sales. So that is one of the things I basically teach people. I teach people on how to actually grow their income in their business, how to tweak your business so that you can make more money. And making more money from your business is as simple as ABCD. We're going to talk about that sometimes next month. I'll share with us how to make more money from our business. Oh, I hope I remember, but I'll just talk about it. Wine, if you're watching this video, Wine is my personal assistant. Please remind me to do that. Okay, so back to what I was saying. You need to increase your revenue. You need to increase the money coming into your business. If you want to raise capital, if you want to access funding internally, you need to get more money in. It's when you have more money in, you can actually get to grow and raise capital. So three ways for the internal funding is that number one, you need to save. Number two, you need to, yeah, rain. Number two, you need to cut costs. And number three, all right, I hope you guys can still hear me. I know the rain is already getting heavy. All right, I hope you guys can still hear me. I know the rain is getting heavy. And number three, is that you need to increase your inflow. So you need to increase the number of money that is coming into your business. You need to boost your sales. So take for example, if you want to raise funding, say for now, the entire money that comes into your business is ₦1 million, and you want to raise ₦2 million, right? Now you know that if you want to do that ₦1 million, it's going to take you like 3 or 4 months because you have other cost of operational costs to sort out. So you cannot tell yourself that, okay, do you know what? Let us double our sales. So normally you sell 50 products every month. It means that you start selling 100 products every month. And if you want to sell 100 products every month, it's easy. You just need to look at yourself. How many leads do I generate? How many of them say yes? Right? So if every 10 persons I talk to, 2 persons say yes, that is 20% lead conversion. So if you want to get 100 persons to say yes to you, 100 persons is 20% of 500. So it means that you talk to 500 persons in the month. I know it's a little bit of a work, but if you do that, you would increase in your sales and you will have funding. So that is the first part when it comes to the internal. Now the next part is that we're going to start looking at the external. And like I said, I love internal because it forces you to grow. So the first way for the external is they call it angel investors. Angel investors. So the angel investors are categorized into two ways. There is the first type of angel investors, we call them friends and family, or people within our social network. And the second way within for the angel investors are institutions, right? Are institutions, mostly social institutions. Now I'm going to say that, I'm going to explain that. So the first way that we can use angel investors as a means of raising capital and for raising funding for our business is through our friends and family. So your friends and family just talks about people within your social cycle that can be able to invest in your business or put funds for you to invest in your business. So that is a very good way for accessing funding. It's through angel investors. So if you have good friends and good family members that have funding, you can speak to them to get funding. Now, there is something about angel investors that we need to understand. That first part of angel investors, the friends and family, is that number one, you need to be somebody that has integrity. I think we talked about this last week. If you don't have integrity, people would not drop money. Please listen. If you don't have integrity, people will not drop money. So you should be somebody that they know is credible, someone that they know that if they give you cash, you will return it back. You should be that kind of person. So it's not like right now you you borrow money from one of your friend or family member and you start praying that the person should forget. When you want to raise money for your fund, for your business, you want to raise funding for your business and capital, you will not get it from that type of person because they're like, this person was unfaithful from the other time. So you need to be somebody that has integrity, someone that is credible, someone that can be trusted. So you need to have that kind of social capital because that is what will enable them to give you funds. Then the number two is that if you're going to get cash from friends and family as a means of getting funding, please and please don't go there without having a two things, a form of value for them to get from your business. That's one. Two, without capital, without a equity, they call it equity contribution, or without like a savings or capital on ground. So let me explain both. Number one, you should always have value to present to people. They will easily support what you're doing. So it's not like I'm just coming to just meet you because I just want to get money from you to do business, and the person is not getting anything from it. Even if the person says no, you should find a way that value is always leaving you to them. Because if they know that, okay, if this person comes to take funds from me, there's something the person does for me, like provide a form of value to me, they will always be giving you funding and they will, of course, refer other people to you. Then the next thing is that you should have equity contribution. People don't trust people or don't like to work with people that don't have traction. So don't go and meet them and say, hi, I want to start a business or I want to grow my business and my business needs 5 million naira or my business needs 10 million naira and you don't have any money. If you a good way of entering that kind of conversation is that, oh guys, I need to loan 5 million naira to run my business because I have one or two things to buy just to ensure my business gets to expand. But I've already saved 1 million. They will take you more serious. So you can actually combine that internal funding plus this, right? They'll take you very serious. So the first part of angel investors are called friends and family. They are very good with friends and family because if your investment goes bad, they hardly take you to court. And it's rare, very rare occasion that the legal part law start playing in place, like there's like a legal dispute resolution or police jumps into the matter. Rarely, right? We settle it within the house and within the family or within the community. So the next part when it comes to angel investors is called, they are called institutions. So there are some certain institutions, especially social institutions, that provides funding for people, that provides funding for businesses. They are basically social institutions. And the kind of funding they provide for people are called grants. So a means of getting funding is through socially institutions, right? Let me put socially driven institutions, mostly not for profits, because mostly for profit people would not invest in an idea stage business. They will invest in something that has traction. So, and they will not be considered an angel investors. They're institutional investors, and we'll come to that. So, these guys basically are social people that are investing in businesses because of they want to make either the sustainable development goal, or they have like a personal goal or a personal vision that they're trying to achieve, right? So these guys provide what they call grants. So the kind of funding you get for them is called grants. Very important. Please don't forget that you get funding from them as a form of grant because most times this funding you don't return it back because it comes at grant. So the angel investors, an example of angel investors can be like USAID that President Trump has a bit limited the operation. It can be things like the Ford Foundation, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So these are basically social enterprises that basically provide funding for businesses to do some certain stuff over time. Now, number three for today, number three is our institution funding, right? So institutions. So you can put institutions as number three. So the first one is self-funding, internal. Second one is angel investors, and the third one is institution funding. So I could categorize it as institution funding. And the institution funding is, you look at it from two areas. So the first part of the institution funding are called investors, or sometimes they call them funders, right? They fund people. So, but they are called investors, and the other ones are, of course, our financial institutions, which are called banks. So we're going to talk about both of them, talk about the good side and the bad side of both of them, and how to basically secure funds from there. So let's get started. So the first one is our they call them the not the financial institutions, they call them venture capitalists. Some people call them venture capitalists, some people call them um, investors, just basically investors, right? Equity investors or debt investors. So these persons, what they do is that they have a business, and the business basically provides funding. The business operates by providing or buying stakes inside businesses and cashing out, right? So they buy stakes in a business and they cash out by funding those type of businesses. Now, what are the good side and the bad side? So let's just even talk about the categories first. So there are two categories when it comes to investors, right? The first category is called the debt financing, and the second category is called the equity financing. So the debt financing basically just talks about giving loans and getting a repayment back plus interest. So you're giving a loan to operate your business, and they will get the loan back plus an investment, plus a return on investment, or plus an interest. So take for example, you go meet an investor, and the investor said, okay, for your business, you need 2 million naira. I will give you a 2 million naira for 1 year. Your monitoring period, right? Let us get to practical, right? Your period of basically when you can start repaying is 3 months. So you pay from 3 months to the next from to 12 months. And I'm going to be charging you 50%. So I gave you 2 million. You are going to return the 2 million naira back plus 1 million, whether at the end of the um 1 year, or two times within the 1 year, or four times within the 1 year. That is every quarter. So that is debt financing. And investment is done into your business. And the person that invested into your business, the institution or the individual that invested into your business, gets his money back plus interest. This interest and his money back and stuff like that are, all right, Mr. Lincoln, I'll answer your question at the end of the class. So I said these questions, God. All right, so this kind of investment, basically, there is a contract that will be signed. So you will know every of the terms and conditions that will be there. Please get a lawyer if you don't really know how to um, look at investment contracts and be able to interpret it. Please get a lawyer. So basically, that is it. So they invest in your business, they get the money back plus an interest, right? Plus an interest. And all of these things are stated in before you enter into the contract. So that is the first way for institution looking at from the perspective of an investor. Now the second way is second category for investors are called equity funding, right? For the first one is debt funding. So the second one is equity funding. So when it comes to equity funding, is that I will buy a stake in your business, right? Get a new form of investment, or we sell off the entire business, or in some cases when we are paid dividends. So let me repeat myself. I invest in your business. So take for example, your business is, you need 2 million naira, right? And your business is valued, means that the worth of your business is valued at 10 million naira. So that's 2 million naira is 20% of your business. So if I give you 2 million naira, it means I own 20% of your business, right? Site gist. I was watching someone recently, and the guy was the person that did the painting for Facebook, and they just gave him shares, and the shares they gave him, as of some few years back, the shares was worth almost like $600 million. So I was like, this guy is made. And the guy was like, he doesn't like this stuff because he can't have his normal life again. I was like, wow, you can't really have a normal life again with $600 million in your account. So um the example is that if your business is worth 10 million and you need 2 million, it means that that 2 million naira is the 20%. So if I give you that 2 million naira, it means that I have 20% of your business. So it means that anytime we decide to say, oh, our business is no longer worth it's no longer worth 10 million. It's no longer worth 10 million. It's now worth 15 million. So it means my investment has grown from 2 million to 10 million naira. So it means at that point, when somebody wants to come and buy a stake in the business, the person is going to pay me based on the worth of my value of my shares in your business. That is basically how equity investors cash out. Another way for some equity investors is that they do what they call together, they sit down and tell themselves how much would they make as profit as a business, and we can decide to share, we can decide to um, take profits, right? Take like 50% of our profits, put it back into the business, and the other 50% we can share it within ourselves. So basically, that is it with equity. Now, the disadvantage for equity is that equity is like we are giving your business away. Sometimes you can really, really get so like the person that funded Oracle, she was not smart and she did all this equity stuff. And people that have taken her business away. She's right now, she's a farmer. And she said she couldn't believe that I had it somewhere, but I've not really, really read it. But I'm really going to read that story. But she said she couldn't believe that people can really take her business away from her. She founded Oracle, but she's not the one with Oracle. All of those shares have been basically gone. They just dissolved her shares and stuff, and they took her out of her business. So you need to be very careful on giving equity out. I remember, I think in the year 2007, I was advising a particular startup, and she paid attention to me, and she wanted to give up 40% of her business for 40 million. And I told her no, that was too small. As of them, I know it was big money then, but I told her it was too small. And she really didn't do it. And right now she's enjoying because she's still the sole owner of her business, and her business is very big right now. Business should be worth like almost 500 million. Just imagine she get 40% then. Well, you know the gist. So you need to ensure that you are careful on who you bring in as investors, right? You need to be careful. In fact, I once listened to an investor speak, and he said that allowing somebody to invest in your business is like getting, hypothetically, it's like getting in bed with the person, right? So you need to be very careful. So if you're just joining, thank you for joining. This is Mark Onoja, your business development service provider. I work with startup and small businesses to help them grow their business, and I've been doing this for over a decade. And this is called the Growth Room. The Growth Room is where I share with you weekly within the hours of 7 to 8 p.m. GMT plus one, right? Every day, every Thursday, not every day, every Thursday, I share on how people can actually grow their business, start, grow, and scale their business. And today we're talking about channels of accessing funding. All right, fine. So let's move forward. Now, when it comes to the advantage of equity financing is that you are not under pressure, and you will get more than money when you do equity financing. Most times you will get a form of an help, you get access to network, um, you get access to network, you get different kind of stuff, right? When you allow equity fund financing to come into your business. For debt financing, the disadvantage is that sometimes you may not have the capacity to pay back, or if business goes south, you are in trouble. So that is the thing about debt financing. If business goes south, you are in trouble. Now, for the advantage of it is that it puts you under pressure to ensure that your business do well. So So sometimes those pressures are good because it puts you under pressure. Funding for the business, for businesses, a business due to access funding is through institution, financial institution. So financial institution talks about things like banks, things like insurance, things like mortgage houses. What they do is that they loan you at an interest rate, mostly at a ridiculous interest rate, especially in somewhere in Nigeria. They loan you money, you do business, you pay them back, and you pay with an interest. And most times you drop a collateral. That's why it's different from those a normal investor that invests in your business, right? In debt financing, you don't drop a collateral. But when it comes to institution financing, you would drop a collateral. Why would you drop a collateral? Because they would need to have like an insurance or a guarantee that should, in case you don't perform your promise or you don't perform by paying back the your loan you took plus your interest, they would find a way to recoup the money back. Now, the advantage of institution financing is that it is very quick and very fast. It doesn't take too much time to get it. That is the advantage. You will get the money very quick and fast. Now, the disadvantage is that the interest rate is killing and is pretty much. So the interest rate for debt financing is for institution financing is really killing. I do not suggest, I do not advise, I do not encourage a small business owner or a startup to go and get money from the bank. I did not call any bank, so nobody can come after me. But I don't encourage taking money from bank, right? Right? I've seen someone that helped to get a loan from bank, and I think he dropped his car as collateral, and I think he lost his car because he was not able to meet up. Right? Chances are, if you're looking at borrowing money, you may not be able to meet up. There's a gist for another day, especially for startup and small businesses, right? Um, so I do not suggest banks because, especially if you don't think about now, I don't know where you're watching this thing from. I'm in Lagos, Nigeria. In Nigeria, the bank rates are crazy. The cheapest bank rate I've seen so far is like 27%. So 27, 30, 30 something, 32, 36, 40%. It will take a while for you to get that, except your business is some high type of business that you do some good turnover. 37% or 32% is already eating too much into your business. All right. Um, so that is basically it. So let's take some questions. So we have shared that with regards to funding. So let's take some questions. So if you have any question, thanks for everyone that have joined. If you have any question, kindly drop it in the comment section. So this question is from Mr. Olalekan Tejo Show. What are the key risks and benefits of self-funding for an organization of our size? And how do you recommend we prepare for those risks? All right, fine. So I'm going to answer from the perspective of I know his organization, right? It's our client. I know his organization. Now, the thing you need to understand is that there's always risks, and risks is not good and risks is not bad, right? So risks basically is we are predicting that if an event happens, how does it affect our business, either positively or negatively? So self-funding has the positive and the negative. So the negative part of self-funding is that there is always a cap. There is a cap to what you can access as a person. You are a human, number one. You are limited, right? You are not limitless. You are the only limitless person is God. You are very limited as a person. So just know that, please. Everybody knows that we are limited. So there's a limit to the type of money you can raise. And that is just the truth. So the disadvantage, the risks involved, the negative risks is that in self-funding, you may not really pull in the number of cash you really need. You may. I'm using the word may because sometimes you can. So there's a limit to it. Number two, sometimes it is very slow to raise capital for you for yourself. If right now your savings is a 1 million naira and you need 5 million naira to run your business, and you took you 6 months to get that 1 million. So it means if you want to get 5 million, it's going to take you 2 years because you just get a 1 million naira after every 6 months. So what about if that opportunity has already gone? So it's kind of slow. Now, the advantage, like I said, is that it enables you to grow, which is a very good advantage. So you are just only making a 1 million naira per month, and you need to raise 3 million naira because your business needs it to buy some equipment, you can tell yourself that I will raise that 1 million naira within 2 months or within 3 months. Now, if you want to do that, we need to boost our sales. We need to boost our sales and make sure we save money very well. Now, if you do that, and within normally it takes you for you to save 1 million naira, it takes you 6 months, and within 3 months you saved 3 million. You have grown, you have overgrown. It's more than 100% of growth, like 200 or 300% growth. But remember, a rubber band stretched cannot return back to its normal stage. It just means that you would grow as a person. That's why I like the self-funding. I hope that answers your question. If not, you can always check the replay, right? So let's get any other person that wants to ask a question. So if you have any question to ask, kindly drop it in the comment section. All right, fine. So I have some good news to share with us. Good news number one. Yay. All right, fine. So let me do this reaction. So good news number one. Um, I am writing a book, and the book would be out on the 14th of December, right? I'm seriously excited about that book. I think I'm in chapter 5 right now. I'll be done with it in September, right? And it's 13 chapters, and I will be talking about the book is called Business Growth Playbook, right? Business Growth Playbook, where I will be talking about how you can grow your business as an African. So I'm writing it for African entrepreneurs. In fact, the dedication is dedicated to the millions, the over 100 million entrepreneurs we have in Africa. In Nigeria alone, we have like 40 something million. So we should have like over 100 million entrepreneurs in Africa. So it's dedicated to the entrepreneurs in Africa. And the book would be, I would start the pre-sale sometimes in November, October. I'll start in October. I'll be sharing a free chapter in October. And of course, once it's out, the free chapter is out, of course, I'll get to share with us. I encourage you to buy the book, right? Share it with a friend. And it's going to be out during Christmas period. So it's going to be a good time to share it. I don't want to share the price right now. All right. But the book is going to cover every area of business. I'm starting it with talking about the Africa context, what is happening within our Africa. I talked about the foundation of a business, talked about products, talk about people, talk about marketing, talk about sales, talked about finance, talked about risks, talked about growth, talked about raising funding, talked about funding. So you should get the book, right? It's not an ebook, it's a hardcover book, very right. It's a paperback book, right? An hardcover book where you should read. You should develop the culture of reading. And the best thing about it is I gave examples of a lot of businesses in Africa, and you would see action points in the book, what you need to do. So every chapter comes with action points that once you do those things, of course, it's going to help your business grow. So that is the first good news to share. Now, the second good news is that I'm thinking about putting up a training towards the end of the year. It's going to be physical, just for 15 persons, where we're going to work on your 2026. Now, it's not a goal setting class for 2026. It's more of a life business growth workshop, right? Where we can structure your business within that hour, within that 3, 4 hours. We're going to spend like 4 hours together, right? It's paid, right? For 2026, and of course, structuring your business. And that will be holding, I think, the first Saturday in December, right? I'm looking at the first Saturday in December, and I will start sharing it from next month, from October. So we'll just take that 2 months to get like 15 persons that would be interested in it. So if you're interested in it, of course, you have my details, so you could reach out. I'm seeing setting the price in my mind. It's going to be either a 45 or a 50K, right? So it's going to be for 4 hours. So for 4 hours, then I'll then work with you throughout December also personally to see on how you can restructure your business basically for growth. All right. So want to say a big thank you for everyone that joined in today. We had a very good time, right? And because we talked about what are the channels of funding. So if you're just joining us, this is the Growth Room with Mark Onoja, where I teach you on how to start, grow, and scale your business. We hold the Growth Room every Thursday, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. GMT plus one, where I'll share with you on how to start, grow, and scale your business. I'm a business development service provider. I work with startup and small businesses, and I've been doing this for over a decade. I officially started the Lord's work of working with startup and small businesses from 2013. So that is over a decade. That is like 12 years. And I basically help people grow their business. All right. So thank you for joining. Um, this is going to be in replay. So immediately I end it, of course, I'm going to post it for us to singers to watch and get to share this with a friend. If this is your first time of coming here, do like, do subscribe, and do share this with a friend. Somebody needs to listen. And let me just do a short recap. I shared about how to raise funding for your business. What are the channels of funding? The first one talked about self-funding, which I said is the best way you raise money from yourself through savings, through cutting costs, and of course through revenue generation. Then you can use through angel investors. The first angel investor is your friends and family. The second angel investor is through social enterprise that gives grants, right? And the third way is through institution. And the best way for you to do with institution, yeah, and the government is also an angel investor too. They are the social enterprise. And the third way is to use institutions, either using an investor or a financial institution. So for the financial institution are banks, which I don't advise. For the investors are basically investors, people that invest in businesses that enable you grow your business. So in the absence of any question, thank you very much for joining. I would be live again next week Thursday. And next week Thursday, we are, of course, the topic is going to share, but we're going to just basically be talking about when you get funding, what do you do next? So some a lot of person, okay, I've gotten money. So what do I do with it right now? So once you get funding, what do you do next? No, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about pitching. So when you stand before investors, how do you pitch your business to that? So we'll talk about that pitching next week, Thursday. Then I think we'll just be done, right? We'll talk about pitching next week, Thursday. So next week, Thursday is on the 25th, and it's the last Thursday of the month. We're basically going to talk about how to pitch to investors. So what are the things to prepare that document and actually pitch to investors? So thank you very much. Do enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye bye.